the TBS, or the short-term trend bias. Now, looking at this chart, the short-term trend bias is the line that is either green or red that hugs the price very, very closely. This is the very short-term trend bias. When the price is above the TBS, we're assuming that the market is going to rise. When the price is below the TBS, we want the market to drop. It is very short-term, and it is going to switch very quickly. It is going to have the market making small adjustments, and doing so, the TBS is going to determine whether the very, very short-term trend is going to change. I'm going to show you the same chart without all the other indicators, only the TBS. Now, this is the same TBS on the same chart, hugging the price very closely, and we get a better idea of how this works, how small the market needs to move in order to accommodate the TBS. It is going to hug the price fairly closely, and we are going to get switches of the trend direction, the very, very short-term trend direction, quite quickly. The reason is we want to take advantage of the trend, but at the same time, we want to get into trend following trades as quickly as we possibly can. This indicator hugs the price so closely that when we get these triggers, when we get these signals, that we'll be in a trade at the soonest possible time. This indicator is very powerful. Now, I'm going to show you a really cool aspect to this indicator too. We have a couple instances where the market drops, but the TBS does not change sides. There's an instance where the market rises, but the TBS does not change sides. It sticks to the side that it is very sure that that trend is going to remain in. Again, it's a very short-term trend, so we are going to have the flip-flop fairly regularly, but when we do get some sort of non-committal as far as a trend change goes, the TBS often doesn't get fooled by that. It is going to follow the price up or down in an attempt to keep us on the right side of the trade. When we get signals from the TBS, they are going to be in relation to three other indicators. It is not going to work on its own. You're going to get several choppy signals if you're trading it by itself. We are going to be using it in conjunction with the three other indicators. And when you put them all together, every indicator has a very important role to play, and the TBS is taking care of the very short-term bias. And because of that, it's getting us into trades at almost the perfect time. I love this indicator. It is a very powerful tool. And once we get trading with it, you'll see that oftentimes we're not going to be able to trade without it.